Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Annie, this is Stanley, and we're here to talk about books. So today's video is going to be going through my TBR for the Reddit Fantasy Bingo board prompts that came out at the start of April. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, this is a reading challenge that comes out every year in April, and there's a bingo board of really interesting prompts, and you're supposed to fulfill them with sci-fi, fantasy or horror or other speculative books. There's always a hard mode for each prompt, which makes it harder, obviously. And yeah, you just pick a book that fits the prompt. You can't overlap prompts, so there's one book per prompt. You can't read more than one book from the same author, apart from this year, one exception. And you're not supposed to read books you've read before. You can do that once, I think, on the board. There are options to swap out one of the squares for a different square from a previous board, but again, you can only do that once. And the whole point of it is, well, to have a lot of fun. I certainly had a lot of fun with it last year, and to broaden your horizons in terms of finding new books to read. So as soon as the board came out, I started feverishly, enthusiastically planning what I was going to read, and today we're going to go through my choices. Ah, my lovely tea drawers. Will they be lovely to me today? 8. So that is mango oolong. Yes. Well, I mean, I like all the teas in the tea drawers, otherwise they wouldn't be here. But yes, mango oolong will go down very nicely today. Good old past me has already boiled the kettle. Oh, there we go. Mango oolong. So, here is the board. And I'm going to go through each square and what hard mode is and which book I've picked. And we'll just see how we go, because there's quite a lot of information, so bear with me. I should say that my aim for 2026 is to fulfill as many reading prompts from challenges as I can with either books that I already own or books that I can get from my audiobook subscriptions without having to pay extra money. So that's my loophole for books where I don't have one that fulfills the prompt in my owned TBR. I can grab an audiobook, hopefully, from one of my audiobook subscriptions, and that's my little cheat code. But with this, I was trying to use ones that I already had on my audiobook TBR rather than seeking out entirely new to me books, which is actually, when I think about it, is kind of against the ethos of Reddit Fantasy Bingo, which is to broaden your horizons and get you to read books you wouldn't have done otherwise. I'm doing it wrong, but we are where we are, and I have ended up getting some new books, obviously, because I couldn't fulfill everything. Anyway, gosh, ramble-tastic today. Come on, Stanley, keep me on track. So, the first square is trans or non-binary protagonist, and I have to admit that I did not have an obvious choice for this in my owned TBR or on my audiobook wish lists. It's possible that some of the books that I have do fulfill that prompt, but I haven't targeted them for that specifically. So I have had a look around and I've come up with some options, but my first choice option is The Fifth Gender by G.L. Carragher. And I have read Gail Carragher's books before. I'm not actually that much of a fan of the Parasol Protectorate, but I really enjoyed her YA steampunk series, which was about a magical school on an airship, and it was amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know a huge amount about it. I know it's sci-fi. I know it's got an alien race which have 5 genders. and I believe from my research that the protagonist is either trans or non-binary. But I have a few other options on the docket for if that one doesn't work out. Hard mode for that is that the book has a pre-modern setting, and I don't think that this one does fulfill it, but I'm just kind of picking up hard mode as I go along if I happen to be able to, rather than making it a massive thing. So there you go. Next up is to judge a book entirely by its title, and hard mode is to go in completely blind, just pick a book because you like the title and not find anything out about it. And for this one I have picked The Matchmaker's Gift by Linda Cohen Leugman. And I do know something about this because it was already on my audiobook wishlist, and it's about a matchmaker in, I think, 1910 who uses magic in her matchmaking business. And then there's a split narrative with modern day New York, where her granddaughter is finding letters that relate to things that have happened in her family history. So it sounds like absolutely my kind of book, so I'm really looking forward to reading that. Next is a translated book, and hard mode is that it was translated into your language in the last 5 years, and I'm using this to prompt me to carry on with the Witch Hat Atelier manga series. I'm on volume 10, which came out in 2022, so it was definitely translated into English in the last 5 years. This follows Coco, a young girl who accidentally turns her mother to stone in a fantasy world where magic is very tightly controlled and only certain people are supposed to be able to do it. And she gets taken in by a witch and trained in her magic. Next up, we've got the small press or self-published square, which I think comes up every year. And this is another one where I am prompting myself to carry on a series that I'm in the middle of. And I have picked Search and Recovery by Christine Catherine Ruche, which is number 11 in the Retrieval Artist series, which I absolutely love. It's a sci-fi series in a universe with lots of different alien races, and there's lots of legal wrangles because they have very complicated laws that humans get tripped up by. There's often missing person cases, and there's a long-running plot about a terrorist attack on the moon, and it's all very exciting. The hard mode for this is that the book has under 100 ratings on Goodreads, or that the author is marginalised, and I don't think that this book counts, but I'm going to read it anyway because I'm really looking forward to it. So the last square on the top row is Unusual Transportation, which bit tricky. I think this is one of the trickier ones because it's got to be not only an unusual form of transportation to us as real world inhabitants, but it's also got to be unusual transportation within the world of the book. So I was immediately thinking that I would be able to use the family book club book for April, which involves teleportation, but teleportation is completely normal in the world of the book, so it doesn't count. So what I've actually done is, yet again, prompting myself to continue a series I'm in the middle of. I'm going for Sweep of the Heart by Ilona Andrews, which is the 5th and final book in the Innkeeper Chronicles, finally getting to the end of this series, which is such a fantastic series. I've no idea why I haven't finished it. And in that world, it is set on Earth, but in a version of Earth where certain subset of people have made contact with races from other worlds. So it's a fantasy sci-fi mixture because there's magic and there's all sorts of weird shenanigans that go on. And the central protagonist, Dina, is an innkeeper, and she has a magical sentient inn that opens portals to other planets within the inn. So it creates doorways, and then you go through the door and then you're on another planet. And that is unusual within not only the Earth of the books, where most people don't know about the magic and the alien races, but it's also unusual within the wider world of the books because there aren't that many inns and they are considered unusual. So that's what I'm doing for that. The hard mode is that the mode of transportation isn't combustion or steam powered, and because it's magic, I think I'm claiming that one. So there you go. That's the top row. Still got a ways to go. Next up is the Afterlife Square, where the book has to deal with the realm of the dead, and I am picking The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst, which is a fantasy book set after a group of heroes have defeated the big bad evil and are struggling to continue on with their lives, and the protagonist has bone making magic which has been outlawed, but she wants to use it to resurrect her dead husband. So that's the connection with the realm of the dead. Hard mode is that the afterlife doesn't have a good versus bad dichotomy, and I don't know because I haven't read this book yet. Oh, next up, Game Changer. I'm finally gonna do it. I am actually finally gonna do it. This one has to be a competition or some kind of contest. And hard mode is that the protagonist who is taking part in the contest breaks the rules in some way. So I am, at long last, after resisting it for quite some time, going to read Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dillabin, because I know that Carl, in his dungeon crawling role, is taking part in a reality TV show competition. And I'm assuming he breaks the rules along the way, because that seems like the kind of guy he is, but I don't know, so I will find out. But I've been resisting reading this book for a while everybody else around me has been losing their minds about how amazing this series is. So I'm finally going to do it, people. I'm gonna listen because people keep saying the audiobook is the way to go. Listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl. Next up is Vacation Spot. I like this one. It's very cute. You have to pick a book where you would like to go to wherever it's set on holiday. And I have picked, what's it called? It's called Agnes Auber's Mystical Cat Shelter by Harriet Fawcett of Emily Wilde fame. I wasn't that much of a fan of Emily Wilde, but this one sounds really cute, and it's set in 1920s Montreal, I think, which is not a part of Canada I've ever been to, and sounds like a lovely place to be. And also a magical cat shelter also sounds like a lovely place to be, so I'm picking that. There's no hard mode for this one because apparently we deserve a break, so that's kind of cool. So that's that one. Next up is the 5 short stories square, which always comes up on the board, as far as I'm aware, where you have to read 5 short stories. And hard mode is to read an entire anthology. So this is one where you can read more than one story by the same author, so it can be 5 short stories by the same author. But I am going to finally get into some of my physical books. I'm going to read Crunchy with Chocolate, which is a Wolf Singer anthology edited by Carol Heitschuh. And I have a story in this. So I have actually, it's not going to count as a reread because you only have to read 5 of the short stories, and I am going to read the whole anthology. But I have obviously read my story because I wrote it. And this is an entire anthology of books about dragons. So I'm looking forward to that because I have owned it for a while because my story is in it, but I've never actually read the other stories in the book. So good opportunity for me to do that. Next up is Older Protagonist, and that is to read a book with a protagonist who is 50 years of age or older. And it does depress me a little bit that that is considered older. I suppose it's in the realm of fictional protagonists because they're always, late teens or mid-20s or early 30s if you're lucky. But as someone who is rapidly approaching 50, I don't like to think of 50 as being old. But anyway, hard mode is for them not to have any fantastical or fantasy-related reason for their age. So it's not someone like a vampire who's immortal, or even it quoted sort of elves and dwarves who have a longer than normal human lifespan, which is natural to them, but only because they're fantasy races. And I have picked The Yiddish Policeman's Union by Michael Chabon. I read Cavalier and Clay by him last year and absolutely loved it, apart from 50 pages in the middle, which were incredibly horrifying. But anyway, we'd just forget that happened. And this is, I believe, a fantasy sort of alternative history book. Hilarious antic whirl of a novel, the accumulated reading experience is one of admiration close to awe at the vigour of Chabon's imagination. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, and I did really enjoy Cavalier and Clay. I don't know a huge amount about this, but I did have a look, and I believe that the protagonist is in his late 50s and he is a normal human, so I'm going with that. Next up is Duology Part 1. You have to read the first part of a duology. And this is another one where I've had to do some research and source a new book because I didn't have any duologies in my physical library or my audio wish lists. And I have decided to try A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin because it's a fantasy book that's all about tea. I think I had heard of it and I didn't end up giving it a try because I think some of the reviews I heard were a bit iffy, but I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. I think it sounds fun. I believe there's something to do with tea and poison, and yeah, sounds like my kind of thing because I like tea. So that's that one. The hard mode is that the author has to be new to you, so that's going to work. And I've also sourced another couple of options for that in case this one doesn't work out. But that's my top choice. The book club read-along square is one that comes up every year, I believe, and that is to pick a book that has been the subject of a Reddit fantasy book club or read-along. Hard mode is to actually take part in the discussion at the time during the year, and I'm not planning on doing that. So I've been through the whole list, and there are a couple of books that I have that fit the bill, and the one that I've picked is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, which is about a young woman who starts up a relationship with another woman who always turns up on the subway on her commute, and then I believe she discovers that that person is actually from, I don't know, the 1960s, I think, or maybe the 1980s, and is stuck in a time loop, and then they have to figure out how to fix the problem. And I've been meaning to get around to listening to this for a long time. So yeah, good chance to prompt me to read that. Next one is book published in 2026, and that prompted me to have a look and see who's got stuff coming out this year that I might be interested in. And I have discovered that Becky Chambers is publishing a new book this year, which I'm very excited about. It's called As You Wake, Break the Shell, and I don't really know that much about it, but I love Becky Chambers. I'm always going to be reading everything that she ever puts out as soon as it becomes available to me, so I am very happy to have discovered that this is a thing. So I'm expecting that to be a very highly anticipated book of my year. The hard mode is that it's the author's first published book, so I'm not going to meet that one with this one because obviously Becky Chambers has published quite a few books and I have read all of them. Next up we have Explorers and Rangers, where the protagonist has to either be an explorer or a ranger. And hard mode is that they have an animal companion. And I don't know about this one. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you think I'm cheating on the hard mode, because I am going for To Walk in the Way of Lions by H. Leighton Dixon, which is the second in a trilogy that I discovered last year, which is far future post-apocalypse, and all of the people are anthropomorphic cats. And they go on a journey, so they are exploring. They're exploring their world, not only geographically, but also kind of conceptually, I don't know, historically, figuring out what's happened in the world and how it has become the way it's become. So they're on a journey, and the protagonist is himself an anthropomorphic cat, And all of his other people in the group, his companions, as it were, are also anthropomorphic cats. So technically they are all animal companions. I think that's kind of stretching it a little bit, but I'm probably going to claim it and see what happens. So yes, prompting me to continue another series, so that's pretty good. Then we have Duology Part 2, which you might expect is to read Part 2 of a duology. And this is the one where you can actually read a book by the same author as another one, because you can read the second part of the duology that you have read for Duology Part 1. So I'm hoping that I enjoy A Magic Steeped in Poison, and that I will thus want to read A Venom Dark and Sweet, also by Judy I. Lin. But I have got another couple of duologies in case I have time, or in case the Magic Steeped in Poison Tea trilogy doesn't work out for me. I have a couple of backups, but this is the one that I'm picking at the moment to stick on the TBR. So hard mode is to read a different duology to the one that you used for Duology Part 1. So I will see how that goes, and if I have time and the inclination, then I might get hard mode by reading a whole other duology, but we'll see. One Word Title is another one of my physical owned TBRs. I picked this book up at the local free station book exchange. No, the local station free book exchange bookcase, which is Skip Shock by Carolyn O'Donoghue, which I was tempted by the cover because it's kind of interesting, and the title also was interesting to me. And I don't know a huge amount about it. I did have a look at it when I picked it up, but its mystifying train journey brings Margot to another dimension. She finds that not only are there many worlds aside from her own, but that each of them has a unique relationship to time. Go north and a day can pass in a couple of hours, travel south and the sun may take a week to set. Here she meets Moon, a travelling salesman in a realm at war with itself. So that sounds fascinating. I'm not generally a massive fan of like time travel books, but this sounds like it's kind of time being manipulated rather than people travelling back and forth and changing what's happened in the past or the future. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting around to this one. And hard mode is that the single word is not a proper noun, so not someone's name or the name of a place. And skip shock is presumably talking about the shock to the system of skipping forwards or, you know, whatever in time. So it does fulfill hard mode. So I'm quite pleased about that one. Next up we have Non-Human Protagonist, and for this one I am going for The Murderer's Ape by Jakob Vergelius. And this is another one I picked up at the local station free book exchange, and it's a middle grade I think, and it's about a gorilla called Sally who is a ship's engineer and gets embroiled in a murder mystery when one of her friends is falsely accused of murder. And the hard mode is that there are no human viewpoints. Not that there's no human characters, but there's no human viewpoints in the book. And I will find out whether that is true or not when I read it. But that one sounds like a lot of fun. Next up is the actual middle grade square, so another middle grade book for me. And I picked up late last year, I think, I bought Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend because other people that I follow on BookTube have been raving about this series, and I thought it sounded really interesting. And I haven't got round to reading it yet because I'm trying not to start a new series, but it's, apart from The Murderer's Ape, it's the only middle grade book that I actually own. I do have a couple of, I think, middle grade audiobooks on my wish list, but they're all starts of series as well, because that's kind of the way these kind of books work. But this is about a young girl who is, I believe she gets embroiled, or in fact enrolled in a magical school, and goes through adventures because of that. Heard a lot of good things, really looking forward to giving this a try. What was hard mode? Hard mode is an author new to me, so that definitely fits. So I will get hard mode for Nevermore, even though it's starting a new series. Then we have First Contact, which is self-explanatory. It's a book that involves first contact between two different races. And I have picked The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord, which was on my audiobook TBR to fulfill a different challenge prompt from a different challenge later in the year. And I don't know a huge amount about it. The hard mode is that it's a non-violent first contact, and I think that it does fulfill that. I think the alien race is having some kind of environmental catastrophe and makes contact with humans on a human colony on a different planet to ask for their help. So I'm hoping that means it's a non-violent first contact, but I guess we'll find out. Then we have Murder Mystery, which again is self-explanatory, but the hard mode is that the protagonist is not a detective or a private investigator. And for this one, I haven't got it in my pile because I'm actually filming this on the day of Family Book Club, and the book that I have chosen is the Family Book Club book. So it's in the other room because I've packed it to take to the Family Book Club meeting, and that's Alibi by Sharon Shin. Sharon Shin is an author I've read an awful lot of books by. She wrote the Elemental Blessings series, which is what my tattoos are based on. So that one should be a good one. Well, I'm not going to say, I'll review it in my April wrap-up. I have actually already read this one, and I was very much looking forward to it because I like Sharon Shin a lot. It's a sci-fi murder mystery, but the protagonist is one of the suspects, not the person investigating. So it counts for the hard mode. So yes, I will be discussing that book in depth with other people later today. Next up, Cat Squasher, a book over 500 pages. Hard mode is over 900 pages. I mean, I do have one speculative book which is over 900 pages, and that's The Wandering Inn by Piriataba. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is sort of 1,200 pages, I think, and a very, very, very long audiobook. And I don't know whether I'm ever going to get around to listening to that. But the one that I've actually picked is The Watermark by Sam Mills, which is a book about an author who traps people in his novel in progress to get them to help him inject some new inspiration into the story, which sounds amazing. Absolutely my kind of book, so very much looking forward to reading that one. But if I do get round to listening to all of The Wandering Inn, I might replace it to get hard mode, but I don't think that's very likely. Next up, Feast Your Eyes, which is a book where food or a meal is particularly important to the story. And we're kind of coming full circle back round to last year because I bought In the Shadow Garden by Liz Parker specifically to fulfill a prompt on last year's Reddit Fantasy Bingo board and didn't end up reading it. That was the generic title square where you had to get a book with a title that had any one of specific words like sword or throne or crown, and one of them was shadow. So I bought In the Shadow Garden, which is, I think, a contemporary urban fantasy about a family of witches who have a garden where they grow magical fruit and veg. So that fulfills the food being important, and I should hopefully finally be getting around to reading this, even though I didn't read it for last year's bingo card. The hard mode is to attempt to make a dish from the book. So I don't know how possible that might be until I actually read it, because I don't know whether there are actually any recipes or discussions of actual dishes in the book, or whether it's just the magic fruit and veg floating around. But we'll see. Well, I don't think floating around literally, but you never know. Witches, levitation could happen. So I'm looking forward to finally getting around to that because it's been on the shelf for a while. Next up, I am switching out. I'm switching out a square. So the square was published in the 1970s with a hard mode of it being a female author. And I could have looked up something and bought something, but I'm trying not to buy books. And I have to admit that I'm not massively engaged with the idea of reading science fiction or fantasy from the 70s. So I am substituting a square from last year's board, which is the Knights and Paladins square, where the protagonist has to be a knight or a paladin, and I'm going to read Paladin's Strength by T. Kingfisher to help me carry on with the Paladin series, because that's book 2, and I read the first one last year and did want to carry on, so I'm going to substitute the whole square and have the knights and paladins from last year. Next up, we've got Politics and Court Intrigue, and the hard mode is that it's town level politics or below rather than country or planet or universe. And I have picked The Incandescent by Emily Tesh, which was recommended to me by Louise over on Foxes and Fairy Tales recently, and I thought sounded really cool. And it's about a school, and I checked with her and she said that she thought the politics of the governance of the school was important enough to the story to fulfill this square. So that's less than a town because it's a school. So I am looking forward to getting around to that one. And last but not least is Author of Colour. Hard mode is that they don't live in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia or New Zealand, and I am unfortunately not fulfilling this, but I am also using a book which is on my owned TBR, which I bought for Herkyed, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, for the Vampire Square last year and never got round to reading, and that is My Soul to Keep by Tananarive Due, which is about vampires. I think it's set in the American South, and it's about a woman who unknowingly is a better word, marries into a vampire dynasty, and I think then there's a whole load of stuff about what's going to happen with her and her children. So yes, I didn't get around to reading it because I thought it might be scary. But I do need to read a scary book for a different challenge later in the year. So it was on my list for this year, and I thought I might as well stick it on here, and then I'm even more likely to get around to reading it if it's going to fulfill more than one challenge prompt. And that, completing the board, brings me to some interesting stats for my Reddit Fantasy Bingo TBR. And that is that there are 25 squares. 3 of them, I'm quite proud that I have actually managed to get 3 books from my previously selected April TBR. So I picked my books for April before these prompts came out, and I've managed to get 3 of my April books onto the Reddit Fantasy Bingo board, which is Alibi by Sharon Shin for the Murder Mystery Square, The Watermark by Sam Mills for the over 500 pages square, and Sweep of the Heart by Alona Andrews for the Unusual Transportation Square. So I'm very pleased about that. 12 of them I already owned, either physically or in audio or ebook form. There are 8 which are on my existing audio wish list, so already books I had on my radar, which kind of counts for me for books that I already owned. So there's 5 that I've got to get copies of, or get audiobook versions on my audiobook subscriptions. God, I can't speak today. Come on, Stanley, help me out. I'm continuing 5 series, which I'm very happy about, but I'm starting 3 new ones, so that's not a great balance. But I have 15 books that I've doubled up with other challenges, so that's pretty cool. So I'm killing lots of birds with not so many stones. And there's the one, the In the Shadow Garden, that I bought specifically for this challenge last year, which is now back on the TBR. So I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm very happy with that, and I'm very excited. I love this challenge. Please do let me know in the comments if you are taking part in Reddit Fantasy Bingo, which is your favourite prompt for this year, and which is the one that you think is going to be hardest, or the one that you're swapping out. And yeah, have fun with it. I know I'm going to have fun with it. I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will look forward to seeing you again in another video very soon. Bye for now.